Karen destroyed my 5K bonsai tree. She didn't know the world was watching. Part Osahu. Chapter 1. The Bonsai and the Quiet Life. My name's Daniel Reed, and I'm not someone who craves attention. I work as a digital archivist at the public library, live in a modest house on Sycamore Lane, and spend most of my weekends tending to the little garden on my porch. It's not flashy, just some succulent herbs, and one centerpiece I've poured my heart into for nearly a decade. A 30-year-old Japanese black pine bonsai. It was given to me by my grandfather before he passed, something he'd worked on for years, shaping each curve, each branch with patience. Most people can't even imagine. He used to say, "You don't just grow a bonsai, you grow with it." That tree was more than decoration. It was memory, discipline, peace. And last Saturday, Karen Whitmore, my new neighbor, 2 houses down, snapped it in half with her bare hands. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Chapter 2. The New Neighbor. Karen moved into 114 Sycamore about 4 months ago. It had been a rental for a while, young couples in and out, but she bought it outright cash. Everyone noticed she drove a white BMW SUV, wore tennis outfits like armor, and always had this little air of superiority, like she'd stepped off a real estate commercial but forgot the script. From the moment she arrived, she made it clear she had standards. She introduced herself with a laminated pamphlet titled, "Suggestions to Keep Our Block Pristine." I kid you not. That same week, she left notes in several mailboxes about unsightly bins and inconsistent grass heights. Then came the comments. "To Gus, my retired Navy neighbor, I'm surprised someone in your condition still owns a house here." To Vanessa, a single mom. "Are you sure your son should be playing in the street so loudly? It's not very respectable." And to me, well, she barely acknowledged me, except the one time she paused outside my house and muttered, "What is that supposed to be gesturing at my bonsai?" I just smiled, a living sculpture. "It takes years to get right." She scoffed. "Looks like a dead bush in a dish." Chapter 3. A Breeze Before the Storm. For weeks we coexisted. Her presence loomed over the neighborhood like a passive-aggressive cloud. I avoided conflict as always. My bonsai, placed gently in the middle of my front porch, raised on a dark wooden stand, remained untouched. Until the morning of the incident. It was a Sunday mid-April, the kind of morning where everything feels just right. I made tea, stepped out barefoot, and knelt beside the bonsai to trim a stray shoot. That's when Karen walked by with her dog, a tiny yapping thing in a rhinestone harness. She stopped and stared. "You really keep that twig out here like it's valuable." I didn't turn around. "It is," she huffed. "It's embarrassing." "You know that, right? This street is starting to look like a plant swap meet." I stayed quiet. No reason to escalate. She walked away, leash jerking as the dog barked at nothing. I didn't know it'd be the last time I saw the tree hole. Chapter 4. The Snap Heard. Around the block. That night I stayed late at the library. We were digitizing a rare set of town records and I lost track of time. Got home past 10, porch light off. Everything quiet. The next morning I walked outside with my usual cup of tea and froze. The bonsai snapped in two. The trunk was broken just above the base, like someone had grabbed it and bent it backward until it cracked. Soil was scattered across the porch. The pot had a long fracture like it had been slammed. I stood there numb. Not angry yet, just stunned. It was like walking out and seeing someone had slashed a painting. Not just a thing, but a piece of my life. And then I saw it. The little motion camera I'd installed it months ago after someone stole Gus's Halloween decorations. Forgotten. It was even there. I checked the footage. At 9:42 p.m., Karen walked up to my porch. No dog, no hesitation. She looked around, then grabbed the tree with both hands and snapped it. Just like that. Then she walked off. Calm, cold. As if she were swatting a fly. Chapter 5. Choosing to Speak. I sat on that porch for nearly 2 hours, staring at the broken pot, at the fragments of years. At the footage on my phone, I could have gone to her house. I could have shouted, called the police. Posted the video immediately, but I didn't. I went inside, took a breath and wrote a message. I posted it on the local neighborhood app with a still frame of the footage. Just one, This tree meant more to me than most people will ever know. Last night, someone decided to destroy it. For those wondering what kind of neighbor they live next to, I suggest watching this clip. Some things are priceless, and when you break them, what's left behind isn't just damage, it's grief. I didn't include her name. Didn't need to. The internet and the neighborhood would figure it out on their own, and they did. Chapter 6. The neighborhood erupts. It didn't take long. By noon, the post had racked up over 300 comments. By dinner, the video clip had been reshared on multiple local Facebook groups under captions like, "When entitlement meets destruction," "Neighbor destroys priceless bonsai and gets caught red-handed." People were furious. It wasn't just about the tree anymore. It was about the violation, the disrespect. In a neighborhood where people politely argued about mailbox paint colors, this was war. Some called for legal action. Some demanded Karen issue a public apology. Others, angrier, suggested setting up a GoFundMe to replace the tree. Even though no money could, Karen, of course, stayed silent, but her silence only fanned the flames. By that evening, someone anonymously posted her house number on the thread. I immediately commented to take it down. This wasn't about revenge. It was about truth, but it was too late. The court of public opinion had already been summoned, and judgment was coming. Chapter 7. Karen's first move. Karen didn't emerge for 2 days. Her car stayed parked, her blinds stayed drawn, but when she finally resurfaced, it was with all the subtlety of a bullhorn. She posted a statement on the neighborhood app. "There has been a lot of misunderstanding and false accusations about a private dispute involving a piece of shrubbery. I refuse to be bullied by a mob. This so-called bonsai was an eyesore, and frankly, it made our block look trashy. I took action in the spirit of preserving our property values." The backlash was immediate and brutal. Hundreds of replies flooded in. "A living memory is not a shrub. You're not the HOA president, Karen. You destroyed something that wasn't yours and you're proud of it." It wasn't just online. Neighbors started avoiding her in public, turning their backs when she approached. Some even crossed the street to avoid walking past her house. Karen wasn't just disliked. She was radioactive. Chapter 8. The news finds us. The local news station, Channel 5, caught wind of the story. A reporter named Melissa Kane showed up at my door with a camera crew. At first, I hesitated. I didn't want to be that guy, the one crying over a tree on TV. But Melissa wasn't interested in pity. She saw the deeper story, a neighbor's violation of trust. The battle between entitlement and empathy, how small actions reveal massive character flaws. So I agreed. We filmed the interview on my porch. I told them about my grandfather, about the years of care, about what the bonsai meant, not in dollars but in devotion. They spliced in the security footage blurring Karen's face, but not hiding the act, and aired it that night under the headline, "Priceless Bonsai Tree Destroyed at Community Rallies Around One of Its Own." It went viral by morning. It wasn't just our town talking, it was the entire state. Chapter 9. The protest. 3 days later it happened. A group of neighbors and strangers from nearby towns organized a small but powerful protest outside Karen's house. They didn't shout, they didn't vandalize. They simply stood quietly in her front yard, holding small bonsai trees, real and plastic, as symbols. Some signs read, "Respect roots," "Kindness grows," "You can't snap our spirits." Karen called the police. When the officers arrived, they found a peaceful gathering protected under free assembly laws. No one was blocking the sidewalk. No one was trespassing, just people standing together. Karen screamed at them from her porch, shrill, desperate. The officers shrugged, told her they couldn't do anything. One even said, "Maybe you should apologize, ma'am." That clip caught on someone's phone exploded online. Karen wasn't just a neighborhood villain anymore. She became a meme, a symbol, Karen versus kindness. And she was losing. Chapter 10. Cracks in the armor. By the second week, Karen cracked. She posted another statement, longer this time, and dripping with self-pity. "I am the real victim here. My privacy has been violated. I'm being cyberbullied by a mob over a piece of dead wood." It didn't land the way she thought it would. Screenshots flew around faster than she could delete them. People shared stories, real ones, of their own grandparents' bonsai trees, or heirlooms destroyed by carelessness, or memories tied to simple objects. Suddenly, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about everyone who had ever lost something precious and been told it didn't matter. Karen tried everything. Blamed cancel culture. Blamed plant lovers with no life. Even blamed Asian influence over the neighborhood. At one horrifying point, which only made things 1000x worse, she dug her grave deeper with every word. Meanwhile, I stayed silent. I didn't need to defend myself. The truth was doing all the talking. Part 3. Chapter 11. When the law comes knocking. 2 weeks after the protest, a patrol car pulled up in front of Karen's house. Not blaring sirens, not a full squad, just 2 officers, calm and methodical. Karen stood on her porch, arms, crossed mouth moving rapidly as she argued with them. I couldn't hear every word, but the body language said enough. She pointed at the crowd accusing. She pointed at my house blaming. She pointed at herself victimizing. The officers remained impassive. Eventually, one of them handed her a small stack of papers, a citation notice, criminal mischief, property damage, a misdemeanor charge, but a charge nonetheless. And just like that, it wasn't just neighborhood gossip anymore. It was a matter of public record. The news picked it up again faster this time. Headlines screamed, "Local woman cited after destroying rare bonsai tree. Community seeks justice for memorial plant destroyed in act of malice. HOA entitlement has consequences, the Karen case." The world was no longer watching quietly. It was judging Chapter 12, the apology that wasn't. Maybe her lawyer advised her. Maybe someone in her dwindling circle of acquaintances begged her to try. But a few days later, Karen made her public apology. Sort of. She posted a glossy, obviously scripted video, standing in front of a bland beige wall, hands folded stiffly. "I deeply regret that certain individuals felt hurt by my actions. I understand that some people may have emotional attachments to objects. I was only trying to maintain the beauty of our block." She never said sorry, never admitted she was wrong. It wasn't an apology, it was a defense wrapped in fake humility. The comments section turned into a battlefield. "This isn't an apology, it's a PR stunt. How do you accidentally rip a tree in half? You didn't protect beauty, you destroyed it." Every attempt Karen made to save face only dug her deeper. The tide had fully turned, and there was no swimming back. Chapter 13. The Auction and the Bonsai Rebirth. Meanwhile, something amazing happened. Gus, my Navy veteran neighbor, approached me with an idea. "What if we restore the tree?" I blinked at him. "It's dead, Gus." He shook his head. "Not necessarily. Bonsai are tougher than they look. It's not about how they break. It's about whether they keep growing." The next week, he and several other neighbors organized a charity auction. Artists, gardeners, bonsai enthusiasts, and even local businesses donated items. The proceeds would go toward 2 things: restoring my broken tree if it could be saved, starting a community garden for the neighborhood kids. The event was small, intimate, held in the town square, under strings of warm lights. Someone even brought a live jazz band. People laughed, bid on paintings and pottery, shared stories about things they loved and had lost and rebuilt. At the end of the night, Gus presented me with a check, enough to hire one of the best bonsai restoration specialists in the state, enough to breathe life back into what Karen had tried to kill. I stood there stunned as everyone around me clapped and cheered. For the first time in weeks, my chest didn't feel so heavy. Chapter 14. Karen's Collapse. Karen didn't attend the auction. She stayed holed up in her house, curtains drawn as the sound of music and laughter drifted down the street. But the isolation was catching up with her. First came the for sale sign on her lawn. Next came the quiet listing of her BMW online. Rumors trickled in. She'd been let go from her consulting job after the media attention. Her lawyer had dropped her. Even her estranged adult daughter had publicly posted, "Actions have consequences, even for my mother." It was devastating, but it was also inevitable. Entitlement can shield you for a while, but when the truth catches up, and it always does, you stand alone. Naked, unprotected. Just you and the wreckage you made. Chapter 15. A different kind of goodbye. One morning about 2 months after it all began, I walked outside to find Karen standing on the sidewalk. No sunglasses, no flashy clothes, just a tired woman in jeans and an oversized sweater. In her hands, she held something, a small pot, with a tiny sapling barely 6 inches tall. She didn't step onto my porch, didn't say much, just set the pot gently at the base of my steps, nodded once and turned away. No dramatic speeches, no demand for forgiveness, just an offering, an acknowledgement, maybe even a plea for grace. I didn't call after her, didn't invite her in. I simply picked up the pot, rough clay, uneven but real, and placed it next to what remained of my bonsai. Two survivors, two reminders that some things, when broken, don't vanish, they transform, and in transformation, there is hope. Part 4. Chapter 16, The Bonsai Heals. A week after Karen left the small sapling on my porch, the bonsai specialist arrived. His name was Hiroshi Nakamura, a quiet, wiry man with silver hair and hands that moved like flowing water. He knelt beside the broken trunk for a long time without speaking, running his fingers gently over the scars. Finally, he looked up and smiled. "It can be saved," he said simply. "It will never look the same, but sometimes the most beautiful trees are the ones shaped by survival." We worked together for hours, binding the broken trunk with careful wire, grafting new shoots onto old wood, replanting the roots into fresh soil, a new beginning. It would take years, maybe decades, but the tree would live, maybe even thrive, and somehow that made everything worth it. Chapter 17, A Garden for the Future. Meanwhile, the community garden took shape. The funds from the charity auction bought a strip of abandoned lot at the end of Sycamore Lane. Volunteers cleared rocks, pulled weeds, built raised beds. Kids painted signs, "Grow kindness, respect roots." Patience grows everything. Every Saturday, families gathered to plant herbs, vegetables, even tiny bonsai seedlings. It became more than a garden. It became a promise, a living monument to what we had survived and how we had chosen to heal. Standing among rows of sprouting green, hearing the laughter of children, the murmur of neighbors swapping stories, I realized Karen had tried to break something. Instead, she planted a forest. Chapter 18, An Unexpected Message. One rainy evening, as I sat sipping tea on the porch, my phone buzzed. A message, unknown number. It was short. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I see it now. I hope someday you'll be able to forgive me, Karen." I stared at the screen for a long time. Forgiveness is a strange thing. It isn't forgetting. It isn't pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's choosing not to let the hurt be the final word. I didn't reply, not because I hated her, but because sometimes the act of forgiving isn't about them, it's about setting yourself free. I tucked the phone away and exhaled. Chapter 19, Honor Outlives Anger. Months passed. The headlines faded. The neighborhood healed. The bonsai's new shoots stretched cautiously toward the sun. The sapling Karen had left grew sturdy beside it. Gus and I joked about naming the trees. The old one, Perseverance. The new one, Redemption. I liked that one day during an open house tour for new residents, a young couple stopped on my porch. The woman gasped, "Is that a bonsai?" She whispered, awe in her voice. I smiled. "It is. It's been through a lot, but it's still growing." She knelt to study the delicate wires, the careful healing scars. "It's beautiful," she said. I nodded, not just at the tree, at everything, at how far we'd all come. Chapter 20, New Roots. On the anniversary of the garden's founding, we held a block party. Tables piled high with food, guitar music drifting through the air, children weaving between tomato vines and sunflower stalks. I brought the bonsai carefully, reverently to the garden center, not as a trophy, not as a weapon, as a symbol, a reminder that even the deepest wounds can become the strongest roots. When the sun dipped low and the lanterns flickered to life, I found myself standing quietly at the edge of the garden, watching, listening, breathing, and somewhere deep in the soil, under the laughter and the songs and the forgiveness blooming into the night, new roots were growing. The end was.